Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk episode 38. I am your host, Jason Berry, and with me, as always, is Alex Peel.
It's Alex Peel.
Coming all the way from Florida.
Yeah, but I was in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago, you were with me in L.A. and driving all around my crappy, rusty little Dodge Neon.
There has never been a city more poorly named than Los Angeles. That is not the city of angels. That is the city of something far worse than that.
It's the city where angels fear to tread.
Yes, exactly.
And also with us,
because of all that goddamn traffic.
Also with us tonight is GX Echidna, coming from somewhere on the East Coast, I forget.
Pennsylvania.
I'm a lady now. Don't treat me like a girl.
Pennsylvania, man.
All right, and of course, as we mentioned before, me and Alex have been to E3, and we'll be discussing that in great detail in just a little bit. But for now, we'll be talking about what we've been playing recently, and which of us here has played Mighty Number 9?
I have.
Alrighty, did you kickstart the project at all, or not really?
I kickstarted it, yeah.
I didn't put any money to it.
May have kickstarted a little too much. GX kind of introduced it. Oh, God! I'm unplugging my phone. Be right back.
I did not kickstart. I think the only... there's really only, honestly, one video game I've ever kickstarted, and it was the Double Fine adventure game project.
I have been getting telemarketers all day here.
Asking you to kickstart?
Can you block your phone?
Maybe, but at the moment, for me, blocking just involves unplugging the gosh darn cable, hoping my parents don't call. So,
anyway, yeah, Mighty Number 9. Now, did you get it as well, GX?
I did not. There was a point in which I kind of saw the writing on the wall. At some point, basically, the writing on the wall was, "Hey, we're gonna launch another Kickstarter for this cartoon. Hey, we're going to launch another Kickstarter to make this...
Wait, I don't think they kickstarted the cartoon.
Pseudo-sequel for... Oh, yeah, they at least said they were going to, and then they tried to kickstart Red Ash, which didn't go through, and then got picked up by, I guess, some Chinese investment firm. It's like... That was about the point where I kind of looked at the project and said, you know, you're promising a lot of things without delivering on the one first thing that you need to do.
Kickstarter, free money!
I mean, there was a lot of horrible backstory with this game, all the delays. They're a little bit too ambitious with trying to get it on ported to every single console, including Vita. And I'm surprised there's not a 3DS version out.
On the Wii U, it runs on an engine, the Unreal Engine, which I was not aware of, but apparently that never got an official port to the Wii U, which blows me away.
One thing I wanted
Unreal Engine 3 did. Unreal Engine 3 did, I think, to an extent, and there are a handful of actual Unreal Engine 3 games, including Lost Reavers and Devil's Third.
Was Lost Reavers a bad game?
I heard that it was kind of a boring game that doesn't control especially well and has
I don't know. I tried the
free-to-play mechanics.
The beta and...
One thing I was going to ask, you got the Wii U version, Alex. Now, does that run at 60 frames a second or 30?
I'm pretty sure it runs at 30. My eyes aren't so good
you have a hard time detecting that. Anyway.
Let me clarify.
I do know that there was...
Does it run at 30 frames per second, or does it run at any frames per second?
It usually runs at 30 frames. There are a couple areas where there is some slowdown, but I didn't play it until after the patch, unlike I think a lot of reviewers and stuff. So, I mean, by and large, it runs fine and never crashed.
I used my Gamers Club Unlocked at Best Buy. I got it for $24 with the DLC and the PS4 digital version of the game installed with it, so it's like, why do I need the disc now? I could trade it in because of how it's downloaded in my console. It's a little crazy, but except for one crash, it's been running really smooth. Now I actually kind of like the game. Okay, I mean, I came in.
I like it. Fine.
I came in with very low expectations. I know I know the original prototype footage looked a lot better than what it came out to be, but I played it last year at E3, and it looked like an Xbox Live Arcade game, and it still looks like an Xbox Live Arcade game. But,
it's also a digital title.
And the level design is pretty straightforward, left to right, with a few little areas. It's not as good as Mega Man's, best or even most basic level design, I think. But outside of that, it's got solid control, and it's challenging, but not like frustrating challenging, I think. I don't know. I enjoy it, but I wasn't expecting a lot out of it, so maybe that's me.
The game's basically exactly what I expected, but I'm also not a massive fan of the Mega Man games. I mean, the only Mega Man game I've really played extensively was Mega Man X Maverick Hunters on the Vita, which this game kind of reminds me of in terms of the difficulty and I think the level design.
I think it's called Mega Man Legends or whatever that's on the Vita. It's like a chibi Mega Man. That reminded me a lot of that one.
No, that's Mega Man Legends is the 3D game.
Okay.
Jason.
The chibi Mega Man is Mega Man
Powered Up,
and it
yes.
never actually hit the Vita because it never actually hit PSN.
Right.
You can only get it on UMD for the PSP. And
That's
it
it.
is
PSP,
friggin'
I'm
awesome.
sorry. PSP.
I meant to say PSP as well.
I get the two mixed up because you get so many PSP games on the Vita now.
Yeah,
it's funny because I am the resident Mega Man fan of this group, and yet I'm the only one who hasn't played this game.
And you're the one whose opinion I'm kind of interested in because you are the Mega Man fan, so you'd be able to tell me how this holds up to, actual Mega Man games. Because I haven't read any reviews, and going to, soon. But when a game gets lambasted by the press, I like to play it myself first before I absorb why everybody hates it.
I think the reason it got lambasted is not necessarily the gameplay itself. It's that the expectations were a lot higher, and what the people wanted is not what they got at all. I mean, it got constant delays.
Didn't they basically want Mega Man?
Yeah, they wanted a Mega Man style, but they also had something that had a lot better graphics for $4 million. I mean, a lot of people were comparing this.
I mean, this is a game that was developed simultaneously on everything from the 3DS to the Xbox One.
Well, it's not on 3DS.
You can only expect a certain amount of graphical fidelity. Oh, it's coming to it's on the 3DS. I mean, it's coming to it.
Oh, that's
soon.
not what I heard.
Unless it got canceled.
I don't know.
How in God's name are you going to port an Unreal Engine 3 game to 3DS?
I have no idea, but they're doing it.
Well, they got it on the Vita.
The criticism that
Vita's...
I've heard most is that the level design's just boring. Like it's not.
It's very
an all around.
It's very
game.
very
It's just
straightforward. I mean, you don't get like the disappearing bricks going across, or there's not a lot of horizontal up and down ladders as there is where there is a little bit of that, but like only one level, not like 10 or 15 levels across.
I assume you mean the water
down.
level,
yeah,
right?
or just like the water and fire. I've only played through fire and electric level right now, outside of the intro.
Fire and water. Water has a decent amount of vertical movement early on, up and down. But
yeah, I will probably give it a chance whenever it is not $20.
Yeah, if you're coming in with low expectations, I think you will enjoy it. Otherwise, if you're someone...
I think it's pretty easy to come in with low expectations now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've been on the internet at all, you can do that.
Okay, and I guess we'll go into Mario and Sonic at the Rio Winter Olympics 2016 for the Wii U, which just came out last Friday. Did you get it, Alex?
No.
Okay,
I have not bought a Mario and Sonic game in forever.
Me and GX. And I'm someone who played through the 3DS version, and I gotta say the 3DS version seems to have a lot more depth to it. It's actually got a lot more features, it seems like.
Well, when you say depth, you just mean like it has more things to do in it.
A lot
like
more
it
things
has something
to do, it seems like.
More akin to what and this is actually pretty historically true for this series. The original Winter games actually had that whole tiny adventure mode that the big game didn't.
Yeah, and the same.
I think the current one also
3DS,
has an adventure mode of sorts.
One has an adventure mode that the Wii U one is lacking. I will say the Wii U graphically is like gorgeous. It looks incredibly beautiful. It's the best 3D models of the Sonic characters I've ever seen. It's almost up there with Mario Kart 8. Not quite, but very close.
I mean, and they give you lots of opportunities to actually appreciate that, because you don't just have select your thing from a menu. Like, the first thing that they throw you into is, hey, here's your Mii character. Walk around this plaza with all of the characters in it. And they have all your menu choices. If you want to go to the clubhouse, go walk up to Big and talk to him, and he'll let you change your costume. If you want to play single player or multiplayer, just go over and talk to Orbot and Qbot. And it's a good way to introduce it, and I like when games offer you that kind of... That puts you into that world, especially when it's going to be as small scope a game as this game is.
Yeah, and it does a good job as for a small scope game. It does a good job of giving you progression by having you not be able to unlock stuff until you've played the game further on. I mean, these sand castles that are not quite built, that get built as you progress through the tournaments, and the single match gameplay went on when you're collecting rings and coins. Like, after you've played single matches for a while, the tournament matches open up. And I guess...
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about that.
And after you do here's the problem I have with the tournaments is I don't like... when you're playing in 3DS, you play a semi-final mode against a rival, and then you walk around the city, talk to people, do practice matches, which there are like 20 mini-games in the 3DS version that are not on here. And you level up your character some more and more, and then you go into the finals. So it's offering you a much wider variety, where here you're going into a tournament, and you're playing the same game 3 times in a row in order to get your gold or silver medal.
Do you think it's maybe a matter of maybe just a matter of scope between the two, like just pure asset creation and development time, or do you think it's just because they probably accurately expect the 3DS version to sell better?
I don't know. It could be that, because man, it just feels so much more shallow on the Wii U than it is on 3DS. Which really surprised me. And the one thing that really...
When you say shallow, though, I know you're referring a lot to the modes, but in comparing the actual events themselves in terms of control...
I'll give you that, because...
The series feels like... the whole series feels a lot like, hey, these are maybe one step above a Mario Party minigame.
Yeah, kind of like that. And that's a problem with the Wii U one as well, is that it doesn't take advantage of the tablet whatsoever. Everything is joystick and buttons. Some people would prefer that.
It doesn't have to, though.
It provides a little, spice, so to speak, when you're getting to use the gyro controls or using some other kind of features like the 3DS one does. Like in archery, you have to use the gyroscope to aim perfectly at the target before you release the arrow. Where here, you're just pointing with the joystick and then hitting the A button to release the arrow.
Could that be just to make sure everyone's on a level playing field? I mean, you could hypothetically pass the Wii tablet around.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they could have that as an option as well. They don't have to just have it straightforward as joystick and buttons.
Well,
I mean, this is normally where I protest having... motion controls and what have you, but with these games and events like in Mario and Sonic, that's actually kind of a bonus to do that, because it offers a little more variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all in all, I'd say I've had very little experience with it thus far. I think I played horse racing. I played a little bit of football. I almost called it soccer there for a second. I played a little bit of rugby. I'm having a heck of a time trying to wrap my head around the right way to play rugby.
Damn, rugby is tough. I mean, is that how it is in England? Because it's basically football without the where you could drop the ball and just still keep going.
It's basically football where, for some reason, people are on each other's shoulders for a point.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Hey, I'm a total nerd, so I've never played rugby, so I can't really say.
What a wonderful question to ask on our highly European hosting site.
Yeah, see, one thing that bothered me was I had to do the rhythm gymnastics, and one plus I'll say is if you're playing as multiple characters, you could choose a lot more characters in the Wii U version than you could in the 3DS version for different events. But in the tournament mode, I had to go through the same song in slightly harder difficulty 3 times. And then I fought Rosalina to unlock her, and it changed to a Mario Galaxy song. Yeah, it was some classic something of a new world.
So, are there any standout events in this game so far? Anything that's...
Well, there's rugby, which is not in the Wii 3DS version.
I like horse racing. That looks stupid.
Horse racing's kind of fun, yeah. And the BMX racing was fun.
Yeah, I was surprised. The BMX was surprisingly pretty good.
Huh.
I couldn't get a good grip on how to do the tricks on it, but it was fun.
So, I mean, is it worth $60
No,
or whatever?
It is not worth $60.
Absolutely not. When has any Mario and Sonic game been worth the sticker price?
Well, the first one kind of was, if you were curious enough, which I was.
The first one kind of was if you were blind and high.
For some reason, like the Winter 2012 Olympic ones, I think were the best ones. But this year's, or the Olympics, not 2012, but 2010, for some reason those were the best ones.
The original Winter one.
Yeah, but this one,
there's
just not much to it. I'm not even sure if there's dream events because the Mario and Sonic Sandcastle hasn't been built, and I don't know what's unlocked behind that. But I know it doesn't have the mini event. It doesn't have the mini events that the 3DS one did. But yeah, 3DS one had dream events, but they were kind of just augmented versions of the regular events you're playing, except they had like they might have like question blocks or turtle shells added and stuff.
There are no dream events. The things that you can unlock in this are you can get amiibo unlockable leagues. Looks like you get. I'd like to know what Carnival Challenge is. That actually sounds like some sort of structural game. That's actually kind of why I like some of the other previous ones in that they had a Mario Party style structure to them that you could at least access.
Yeah, this one feels very straightforward. Very straightforward. I mean,
at least for now. Like how much time have you actually put into
just
it
about
this
2
far?
or 3 hours.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that's still a significant amount for this type of game, but
yeah, 2 to 3 hours is about how long the original Mario and Sonic was.
Well, they're kind of prolonging it by making these tournaments where you have to play the same game 3 times in a row.
Is there any like amiibo support or anything?
Yeah, we just said there's an amiibo one.
I just said.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hear you say it because my connection cut out.
Yeah, so I'd only get if you're like a die-hard Sonic fan, maybe, or just wait for it to go on sale if you want to play it with your kid brother.
Or if you actually want to see the Rio Olympics. Because at this rate, it's the only way you're gonna.
So, like, what's the best Mario and Sonic so far?
I think the winter one they had on the Nintendo Wii, where they had the dream events, were a lot more fun. It seemed like on that one. I think I like that one.
So the 2010 one, in guessing general, not in terms of the winter ones, but guessing general.
Yeah, in general, I think that one was the best.
So what? The second Winter Olympics one suck.
The Rio 3DS one is actually pretty good, except for the story's mixed up. But otherwise, that one's got a lot more to do, it seems like, than this Wii U one.
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to skip this one.
Yeah, I would.
Are you on a delay that you can't hear when someone's talking? Because it sounds like you... Yeah, never mind.
I think he's just interrupting.
I'm wondering how much of a delay you're actually on. Or if you just don't give a crap. But yeah, I would say the only one I haven't played is the London one. I've heard okay things about it, but you probably want to go with the Wii Winter one. The Wii U Winter one is hot garbage.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, I think that's enough of Mario and Sonic. Before we talk about E3, we'll talk about the event that happened before E3 that I helped plan and put together, and that's and Alex helped out as well. That's Sonic Revolution that happened in Los Angeles at the Holiday Inn Hotel near LAX. That was,
I got some evil ham.
I didn't know we were just going to jump right into that.
Yeah, well, that's before E3, so I thought that would be the best thing.
Well, I mean, I played stuff.
Oh, I thought we were done with what we were playing.
Oh, well, neither GX or I really talked about anything that we played.
I'm sorry.
Like we
talked
about
what Jason played.
Okay, what have you been playing, GX?
So, as you know, all the hot bangers for Nintendo Wii U came out on the same day. Both Tokyo something session, the frickin'
Tokyo Mirage Sessions #FE.
Yeah, that one. And Sonic and Mario. So of course I went to Best Buy, bought them both, and so logically the game I spent most of my weekend playing is Pokemon Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance. So, but I could actually talk about Rhythm Heaven because that is my biggest game of the year. It's probably going to be the game I put the most amount of time into the year, or the game that I've certainly had the most fun with thus far in the year. Rhythm Heaven, conceptually, if you're not familiar, with most people probably are, but take the WarioWare team and make every micro game set to music. It has every bit of the weirdness, every bit of the simplicity to it, but everything you do is set to a song. And I would say if you haven't played a Rhythm Heaven game, Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix for the 3DS is gonna be a fantastic starting point. It is actually a combination of all of them and then some extra. It doesn't have every song from every single game, but it has, by my count, I think somewhere around 108 different songs and mini games to it. About a quarter of them are from the original Game Boy Advance game that actually never came out in the States. About a quarter go to the DS game, a quarter of them to the Wii U game, or the Wii game, and then a quarter of them are whole brand new. And then they also come with 10 new remixes as well. I love this freaking game. It is stupid, gleeful fun, just because it is the frickin' most bizarre game in Nintendo's back catalog that isn't necessarily WarioWare itself. It's a game where they give you a song and you could be doing things to it, such as you're a chameleon trying to lick up flies to a thing. You could be a pro wrestler, not wrestling, but in his interview, responding in rhythm to a song. It's just, you could be a bear who is depressed and having to squeeze bags of donuts to eat them to the rhythm. It's bizarre and magical. If you're not sure, I believe there is a demo on the eShop, but
there is.
In all honesty, I think this is just one of those games that if you own a 3DS, this is just kind of the must-own titles for your library. It's like $30. It might seem like a lot, but it's really freaking good.
I don't know, the thing that's always turned me off about Rhythm Heaven is that it's probably the most difficult rhythm game I've ever attempted to play. It is really, it requires some really precise timing in order to not just fail the game outright.
Not really.
It does, at least by my experience. I mean, I own a couple games in the series, and that's an issue I've always had with it.
I mean, part of it is that you really have to pay attention to the song more so than the graphics, because the graphics are almost entirely there to try to trick you up. They do weird tricks in it, like in a baseball mini game where you're hitting balls to the rhythm based on a certain audio cue. It actually gets to the point where then all of a sudden it zooms 50 miles out, and you can't actually see what's going on the screen, but you can still hear the audio perfectly fine.
Yes, speaking of that, I played the demo right after I got home from E3, and for one of the final games on it, I think it's a ping pong game. I had to close my eyes and just press the button when I heard a certain cue come up in order to get past it.
And sometimes you have to do that.
Which is I've never had to do that with any other rhythm game I've played, so it's something I'm considering because I had fun with the demo. So, but I guess I have so many games to play right now it's pretty low on the list for me.
The Wii U game is definitely, I would say the Wii U game is probably the best overall game, but this, there is something to just having it available to you on your system all the time that you can just plug away a little bit at a time.
Oh, you mean the Wii version? Okay, yeah. This actually has some mini games from the Wii version, doesn't it? Like the wrestling.
You really don't pay attention to anything I say, do you?
Well, you said Wii U, and
I said it's a mix of all of them.
Yes, I know.
And then I went to go on and break down. It has a little bit from the GBA version, and a little bit from the DS version, and a little bit of the Wii View. I'm not convinced that you actually hear me at any point.
I hear you plenty.
Does it have wubba-dubba-dubba-dubba-dub? That true?
Jason, now I'm convinced that you don't hear me, or at least you certainly don't remember which minigame that is.
That's the one with the wrestler.
Remember that time when I said that the game has the wrestler minigame in it?
I was reading Facebook, so probably not.
Jesus Christ. So why am I here again?
I've been listening. I just kind of drifting off and on a little bit.
But I haven't been listening.
I was listening to you, GX. You said the Wii version was the best, and you told me earlier on Skype that has that's collection of me the best mini games from all the past games, and yet you say the Wii version is the best. So that's why I reiterated that it has games from the Wii version, right?
I think ultimately what it comes down to is
I'm sorry you didn't think I wasn't listening to you, but I am.
The Wii version kind of has, I kind of look at the Wii version as it has that spectacle to it. It has some of the songs might be a little bit longer than they actually are. A lot of the mini games that you get a lot of mini games in this, but I would say maybe a third of them are kind of locked away that you have to actually get to them and access them through completing special challenges and stuff. That's actually one of the other things that the Wii Rhythm game has, is that it kind of has little playlists that you can go through and just do some simultaneously, but and then they establish special conditions. Hey, you only have 3 lives, you can only miss 3 times, you have to get a score at least this big, that kind of stuff. But
okay, so the Wii version has better modes then.
The Wii version is just kind of an all-around better package, I would say.
All right, that's the question. That's the answer.
What's the price on that one?
$30 for the 3DS version.
Oh, well, how much is the Wii U version?
New. Good luck finding it.
Oh, let's talk.
Used. You could probably get it super cheap.
I'd be a little surprised if it's not on the eShop. Rhythm Heaven Fever.
Rhythm Heaven Fever is not on the eShop right now, to my knowledge. Huh. They plug those out at such a slow rate. The Wii remakes or re-releases. My tongue
re-releases.
Re-releases.
Okay, Jason. You can do this kind of search yourself, but you can buy it on Amazon New for $16.69.
Alrighty.
So that's your answer to that. Now, are we done with Rhythm Heaven, or do you have anything else to say?
Do you want me to talk about Pokemon and how I've been playing it on my Game Boy Micro?
Maybe.
I'm not going to go into detail. I will say this, though. I've tried. I am dying to get a new Game Boy or a new DS Lite. That DS Lite really kind of is the best way to play Game Boy Advance games anymore. But out of the ones that I have, and that is among an SP, an original Game Boy Advance, and a regular standard DS, I have found that the Micro actually has the best quality screen of them, which is incredibly sad.
I mean, maybe that's just because it's the smallest.
I think it's because it's the only one with the legitimate backlight. The original DS had one, but honestly, who wants to play on an original DS? It's like...
Wait, the DS Lite doesn't have didn't you utilize a backlight?
I don't have a DS Lite anymore. Mine broke.
You mean you meant out of the things that you have?
I meant the original fat-ass DS.
No, the original fat-ass DS had a backlight, but it was like the Game Boy Advance SP kind of backlight, where it was... It was basically a light back behind an LCD screen, so it was just pretty horrible.
It's basically two tumors duct taped together.
It's not that bad.
It's that bad. As someone who just picked one up, it's that bad.
It's not that bad.
It has these teeny tiny screens for this massive chunk of silver plastic.
Yeah, I remember owning it.
Okay, yeah, well, it was...
It was like a big fat sandwich.
It was kind of shitty, but it wasn't that shitty.
Anyway,
it's shitty in
do you have any games you want to talk about, Alex, before we move to Sonic Revolution?
I got a wireless Dreamcast controller, and it is awesome. And I've been using it to play a bunch of Dreamcast games lately. I finally managed to advance in this awesome platformer called Super Magnetic Neo. But, yeah, so there's this dude in Greece. I forget his name, but you can find him on eBay. And last year he started releasing these wireless Dreamcast controllers that he made himself. And these are some really cool pieces of kit, because he basically took a regular Dreamcast controller and he stuck in like a chip and a battery. He soldered to the inside of the controller board, and he basically turned these Dreamcast controllers into GameCube Wavebirds. They've got great range and they've got no lag, and they're only worth it if you are, one, a Dreamcast fanatic, and two, just suddenly came into money from an investment like I did. Because these things are about as expensive as an Xbox One Elite controller. But as someone who's been wanting a wireless Dreamcast controller for like 12 years since the original GameCube Wavebird came out, these things are
prone
amazing.
To make very bad hardware decisions.
No, this thing is great. It even has two built-in digital VMUs that can be backed up onto your PC.
Can it support regular VMUs?
That's kind of the one downside, in that you can stick in a Rumble Pack and a regular VMU for the display. But in order to access the files, you have to transfer files from the VMU and another controller to this controller. But
I mean,
go on.
Sorry.
No,
I would say in my mind that kind of, I think that the original Dreamcast controller, in terms of layout and everything, is not great and not especially comfortable. And also, I tolerate it whenever I play Dreamcast games maybe once a year, if not less. I just can't imagine losing that VMU functionality for actually, like, can you still use it as a memory card?
It has you can't use it as a memory card inside the controller, because it uses its own built-in digital VMUs.
Now that's actually not bad. Can you use the controller outside of using that like a VMU? Like, can you put your Chow Garden on there and then just play with it that way? Or
no. Like that's like technologically impossible to play VMU games on the wireless controller itself.
Okay, that's kind of disappointing.
When
I think of the Dreamcast, I think of being able to cram dumb stuff onto my VMU and then take it with me to do dumb crap.
You can still do that. You just have to stick it on the VMU inside the second controller.
Awkward silence.
You guys still there? There's some dead air.
I hear you.
Yeah, I was hoping you would continue on with your topic.
Okay.
You see what I'm doing
having a conversation with you. I thought that you had more. That you were
what
probably
I'm doing is
something
I'm
else.
stopping talking so that you can continue talking.
Yes, I'm aware how conversation works. It's just
I'm
thought
not
that
sure
you had
you
more
are.
things to say. Okay, but in any case, so one of the games I used this thing to play was Super Magnetic Neo, which is this super hard 3D platformer on the Dreamcast.
I remember that
one. The
one.
design is a little bit like Crash Bandicoot, except the whole thing centers around this north-south magnetic gimmick, where you use the different magnetic poles to grab onto certain things and to repel yourself off certain things. And it's a lot of fun, but it requires really precise controls and a lot of memorization. And this controller pulls that off perfectly. So, like, if you got $150 lying around and you're a Dreamcast fanatic and you've been wanting a wireless solution, it's on eBay right now.
If you are Alex, it's on eBay right now.
Hey, I'm not the only person who's buying these things. The guys that I think sold about 15, about nearly going on 40 at this point. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I am quite aware that there are crazy people out there who want whatever the heck a Dreamcast 2 is.
Not crazy people. Awesome people. But
I mean, from your... I don't think you get to say that whenever you're part of the problem.
We aren't a problem. We are the solution, GX.
You're not the problem. You're the group we need to isolate from society.
A couple other neat little things that this thing does is when you first turn on your Dreamcast, the thing will even have a logo on the VMU saying connecting, and it'll tell you when it's connecting to the receiver. And it even comes in like a little blue Dreamcast controller box. So it's just neat little touches like that really make it a neat piece of kit. So that's what I've been playing lately.
I mean, I'm kidding to some extent. I mean, it sounds like it's a good piece of tech.
I know you're kidding, GX.
If you have a huge erection for the Dreamcast, I just don't have that. I just don't have that erection that you have.
Well, I also have my Dreamcast connected through HDMI, so yeah, I'm getting really close to bringing this thing into the 2010s again.
And just think, maybe sometime next year you might be able to find a new game for it at some point, because that still happens.
Okay, can we move on now?
No. Yes, we can.
Sonic Revolution.
Yes, that happened on June 12th at a holiday in near LAX.
That was fun.
And
bring me the
Alex
head of Eggman.
did come in real late on that because I didn't realize his flight had changed and he got a later flight. And I couldn't contact him because he was up in the air.
You were freaking out!
I was like, where is he? What's going on?
And what was really annoying for me was that on the plane, the internet doesn't allow for Skype chat, and yet it does allow for Skype notifications. So I had to constantly receive all these notifications from Jason and GX discussing where the frick I was, and meanwhile, like, I'm trying to figure out a way to send a message to you.
So,
okay,
I guess I'll give it a little backstory. This has been the third of our Sonic meetups in California. These were put together by Ledice and Shane Edwards. well, I don't know Letice's last name, so sorry, Letice. And
I don't know her last name. We've had her on the show before.
Yeah. Let's see. The Sonic Boom U.S. West chapter was the first in 2013, and that was just a bunch of fans getting together at a Dave and Buster's. And then in 2014 was our first Sonic convention that we managed to put together, and that was Sonic Revolution 2014. We didn't have any major guests except for like Tommy Tallarico, who's the head of Video Games Live, and he was a major composer of the Genesis era. And we had like Evan Stanley and a few other Sonic comic artists and such there. But this year, everything was just blown out. I mean, Alex was nice enough to pay for Mike Pollock's plane ride here, and me and Ledice paid for the hotel stay. Although I sadly screwed up and got him at the wrong Holiday Inn, which was like 7 minutes away, so he had to keep taking taxis back and forth. So I had to pay him for the taxi fare for that. So again, sorry about that, Mike. He was a real nice guy about it, though. I mean, yeah. So this year we had several voice actors and all the writers from Sonic Boom. We had Mike Pollock, who of course is the voice of Dr. Eggman, Cindy Robinson, who's the voice of Amy Rose, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who's the voice of Tails, and Alicia from Valkyria Chronicles, along with Charmy B and some other characters. And we also had Bill Freiberger and Sam Freiberger, who are both writers on the show, and Alan Denton and Greg Hahn, who are also show writers. So it was great because I got to host two different Q&A panels with both the writers and the voice actors, and
you did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. And oh my God, they were a ton of fun. Colleen and Cindy are incredibly silly on there. We also had once again comic book artist Evan Stanley. Tyson Hess, who's doing the big Sonic Mega Drive comic this summer. I think that's going to be a huge Sonic comic for everyone who wants to see that one. The art is just fantastic.
Gorgeous.
The controversial Ken Penders had his own booth and his own, not Q&A session, but he talked about breaking in and writing as Sonic on that. And he was real classy guy, though. I will say that when you actually get to talk to him in person, he could be a very nice guy. I don't agree or like a lot of the stuff he says on Twitter, and I can understand why there's a lot of hate of him among the fan base.
I think we've kind of discussed this topic to death
already. But I'm not gonna go into detail on it. But I will say, he was like I said, he was a real class act while he was there, and I appreciate that. And we also had a surprise visit by Aaron Weber, and Takashi Iizuka, the head of Sonic Team, was there for a short time. I don't think Alex was there when he showed up.
I was not. I was waiting for my bag, I think.
Yeah, so everyone got to take
airport.
Pictures with Iizuka, and we had a little bit of a cosplay contest, which was awesome. We had someone dressed up as Captain Metal from the recent Sonic Universe story arc with Blaze. We had someone dressed up as the Tornado Mech from that's in the Walker mode in Sonic Adventure 2. We had Shard again. It was a girl dressed as Shard 2 years ago, and so she came back for that. Although she was late for the cosplay contest for some reason. They had her costume in the side, but she missed that. But all in all, it was just a fantastic time. A lot of people were playing. I brought my PC with a bunch of the Steam Sonic games, like Sonic Generations with Unleashed Project running at 60 frames a second. I had a lot of people enjoying that. Who else did we have? Matt, the owner of Tails Channel, who's now a intern at Sega.
Sega, yeah.
Along with the guys who do the I forget their names, but they do like Zombie Sonic and a few Sonic.
Sonic
and,
F,
and there's
right?
there's
That's
also
there's
also a video series called Sonic F, which is just a dub overlay of the Sonic X series done for comedy's sake, and they got huge.
Which I've never seen or heard.
Yeah, they got huge laughter for their presentation, which was real nice. And overall, I haven't had that much fun at an event like that in a long time. I just had an absolute blast. Like I said, I got to host the trivia contest and the two different Q&A panels, and that was an awful lot of fun. My favorite part, I think, was we had the last person coming up for the voice actors, and I sang out, "It's the final question," and then Colleen and Cindy in the back started doing air guitar, going "Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na."
They make your joke funny.
Yeah, Cindy especially seems like a really fun gal to be around.
I will say that the convention was way better than I was expecting. but like in the past, I never really bothered with Sonic Revolution because I figured it was gonna be one of those awkward small fan cons with.
Well, this one we sold out of all 150 tickets.
20 people. But yeah, you guys did a pretty solid job just keeping the pace of the event going. And
yeah, well, me and Shane and Ladise and Tanner, we all did the schedule. We had to get with Bill Freiberger because they wanted to make sure they had enough time space between riders and voice actors, so they had lunch and everything. And lunch was catered to them, which was great. And yeah, everything worked out really fantastic, a lot better than even we were expecting.
Unfortunately, my brain was kind of suffering from jet lag, and I really should have eaten before I went in there because the problem with me traveling and then immediately going to anything is that I will say some very stupid things because my brain is not currently capable of making the right connections between all the right words.
Oh, yeah, you said the live action scene from Sonic Boom, he told Sam Freiberger it changed your life. He's like, in what way?
I said,
saved your life. No, he said it saved your life.
I said it saved my life. And then thankfully that wonderful man helped me save me from myself, and we.
That was hilarious.
I don't want to recount the story, guys. Seriously, because I don't know. There's like a stream of this whole convention that will show all of the panels and stuff, and the stupid thing I said, and the stupid things I didn't say, and yeah. But
Alex, you're giving me so many openings that I am repressing.
Okay, if you want to check out a lot of this
stuff, I know I almost didn't acknowledge this because I knew you there's a good chance you'd say something mean. But nah, it was an important part of the experience.
If you want to see a lot of this, you can go on YouTube look for Sonic Revolution, and there's a lot of different clips.
Actually,
it was originally one long run thing, and now they switched it over to put it in nice chunks now.
How about we link it in our the video description and stuff? Let's just do that.
And of course, we were having microphone problems, and Alex was nice enough to loan one of his microphones, and of course, one
of my two E3 mics.
Yeah, and of course, he completely forgot about it, so we had to go back to Ladice's to get it just before he left. But luckily, she was close by; she wasn't too far.
But yeah, it was a fun affair. GX, I know you're a little afraid of fandom, but
I'm not necessarily afraid of fandom. I just don't necessarily like people getting together and acting like the internet.
No. This was not the internet. This was a genuinely, for the most part, pleasant.
Well, let's be honest. People who get together don't normally act like they do. Anonymously on the internet.
To people
for instance,
who have
I didn't curse
to other
at all
fan
there.
Conventions, and yeah, it sounds like people acting like the internet.
We did have a few people who had really, really awkward questions that I had to sift through.
Well, we had it was two people, and there were reasons.
Yeah, and I won't mention the one person because he's actually a nice kid. He goes to every single one of our get-togethers.
But they're good people.
Yeah.
They're good people at this convention.
I can appreciate it from afar. I would maybe go if you happen to have one in the Pittsburgh area, but that ain't going to happen.
Well, maybe you could organize it,
One thing I wanted to ask
We already have the biggest one of the biggest furry conventions in the country. I don't think
See?
we need extra Sonic.
A lot of the groundwork's already been laid.
Hey, for us having the biggest furry convention, one of the biggest furry conventions in the country, we don't even get a frickin' My Little Pony card game tournament around here.
Okay, one thing I wanted to ask you, Alex. You've been to the Sonic Summer of Sonic in London. You've been to one of those. How does this compare to that one?
It's about a third of the size, and we did have Yuji Naka that year and Takashi Iizuka. So, and we had like a panel devoted to that.
I think you had Crush 40 too, huh?
Yeah, and we had Crush 40, and we also had me on stage. I actually hosted a little something. Which actually wasn't a disaster, if I remember correctly. It actually didn't go badly. I was like, you guys shouldn't be expected to compete with Summer of Sonic for the simple fact that you don't really have any support from Sega beyond the fact that Aaron Weber decided to show up.
Well, the one fortunate thing about being located as LA is that outside of Mike Pollock, a lot of the talent that we were able to require lived in LA. Like all the writers from Sonic Boom, most of the voice actors except for Mike live in LA from Sonic Boom. And then there's Sega, who are in Burbank now, so they're very close. So that made it much better.
That your convention was about a third of Summer of Sonic in every respect, from size to attendance numbers to guests. But given what you are, it's still really impressive.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out the fact that this happened roughly about the same time as E3.
Oh, it really did. We kind of planned it that way.
Which means a lot.
They kind of planned it that way because they were hoping they'd maybe get more game related guests and such. Speaking of E3, since we're going into that territory, me and Alex, not quite the next day, the day after, attended E3. Oh. The day before, we went retro gaming shopping around Anaheim, and you got yourself a Philips CDI.
I got myself a Philips CDI.
Let's talk about that before I go into E3.
Because you haven't made enough bad hardware choices in life.
Yes. And how much did it cost you? $250 for this thing?
I'd prefer not to go into that. I just know that the controller on eBay goes for about half of what of the cost of the money that I spent.
So you got a great value on a terrible decision.
Yes, it was a good value. I got one of the better models, and on top of that, I don't have to buy any games for it because I can just burn all of them. And
you could just burn all of them. In fact, you could burn the system while you're at it.
No. That'd be a very bad idea. But it's not quite as bad as people say. Of course, then again, people basically consider
but then again, this is coming
the smallpox.
From you.
No, this does not. Ignore the fact that it's coming from me. This thing does kind of get a bad rep for basically because the animation in these Zelda and those Zelda games were
and
shitty.
The gameplay and
the gameplay is blah. The gameplay from I got to play about 20 minutes of it. It's not even the worst game I've played this year. It's not even really the worst game on the system, honestly. I think that'd probably go to maybe that awful pinball game. But
I guess you're really defending it. It's not that bad. It's not the worst
I'm
thing
defending
I've done
it from
this year.
people who call it video game console herpes.
I'm
still not saying.
I think you mainly just got it for a collection purposes that you can have like a little museum and say,
I got it because
here's the Philips
want
CDI.
To
if you ever had a morbid curiosity of the Philips CDI, you could try this out for a little bit.
If you ever want to know what kind of life I lead, this accurately represents it. I paid money for this thing.
It was more out of curiosity with a really, really obscure part of video game history. that really all you really hear about the goddamn thing is the fact that it had some Zelda games and they were shit, and it had a Hotel Mario game, and honestly, the Hotel Mario game is actually
game.
What?
And a bad porn game.
I have avoided that one so far. But I haven't had much of a chance to try it since I got back. So, but I mean, Hotel Mario is the only game I've played on it that is actually genuinely kind of fun, because it's kind of just a simple arcade game where you have to go from floor to floor, closing all the doors. It feels like a surprisingly natural fit for Mario, but it's still like, at best, okay. It's probably the best game I've played on the thing so far.
The natural fit for Mario, going in and out of hotel doors.
No, as a platforming, it's basically a platforming arcade game. You can jump over or on enemies. You can close doors, and then you ascend floors. It's not necessarily so different from some of the other arcade games that he's been in, except it's just not as good.
Okay, well, now let's just go right into E3, which we went to Tuesday. Surprisingly good parking this year. Every time I got to go in the underground level and just pay the $20 instead of having to pay the $30 outside.
Man, Jason, going right for what the audience wants to hear.
Yes, parking.
Anyway,
our parking odyssey. Let's also tell them about how we tried to sign up for PlayStation VR.
Oh yeah, that didn't work out too well. But anyway, the first
day was freaking nuts.
Yeah, oh
man.
my god. See, because we are assigned, thanks to Sonic Stadium, to play one game and one game only, and that's Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Now, here's a big problem I have with E3 and giving out freebies to make the crowd stay at their booth and everything. Yeah, it was effective for Sega and Atlus, because what it was is Sega was sharing Atlus's booth, and they had a big theater up front, and then this very small, narrow area to go in and play the games. And they were giving out this wool cap with a cat on it. When you got this card, and you had to get the card stamped by playing 4 different games out of the 6 I think they have at the booth. 6 or 7, I forget.
And people were nuts.
But it was so nuts for this hat that it caused these huge crowds. And we barely got any time with Sonic Boom Fire and Ice as it was on Tuesday and Wednesday, when we had to write up just like a first impressions thing.
Well, no, you actually had plenty of time on Wednesday.
I got a little more time on Wednesday,
I'm the
but
one who
it depended on the time.
It
depended on the time you go in there. Now, yeah. See, and then that's my biggest problem is the way the booth was designed. They had that big theater up front, and then they shoved this little tiny narrow area for the games in the back.
It's a narrow hallway.
And then just the freebie alone causes a huge, massive line. Now that's good for Sega, because now you got a line of like 4 or 5 people waiting in line to play Sonic Boom of all things, and that line never stopped. You constantly had people playing Sonic Boom, so that's good for Sega that they get that kind of focus and attention. But at the same time, you're there to write about a particular game, and you can't play that particular game because they're giving out a stupid little hat. And Thursday, Thursday when we finally when we arrived Thursday, they ran out of the hats, and all of a sudden that booth was empty, and you could play whatever the hell you want, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now,
go on.
Now, it did accomplish getting people to play that game,
yes,
though,
it
which
did.
I'm sure
I
Sega
already said
really wanted to do, considering circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, you got people playing the hell out of Sonic Boom and Yakuza 0 and Asune Miku.
The problem...
By the way, I really liked Yakuza 0. It seems to have more of a comical aspect to it, seems like. It was a lot of fun.
The problem with this kind of method being utilized at a press event, though, is that a lot of people are there just to do a job. A lot of people are there to play the games and then to either report back to their retail company or write about said game for a magazine or website. That's why you're there. But when you introduce this Comic-Con aspect to it, it makes your job significantly more difficult. And if I'm gonna wait in line for something for an hour, I I'm pretty sure I'd probably like, if not for the fact that I had to cover Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice, I would have easily just gone in line for Zelda or Recore or whatever.
Yeah, a good example of this is the Lego Dimensions booth. You could actually walk up and play Lego Dimensions 2 or Lego Dimensions the update without the expansion without any problems. Just bam, right up. But if you wanted the free Green Lantern, you had to wait in the 90-minute line.
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Thank you. Lego Green Arrow, which is exclusive to the event. You had to wait in the 90-minute line and then watch a 20-minute presentation to get the Green Arrow figure.
Which you did do on Thursday.
How many?
Well, yeah, because that's kind of cool to have.
Timeshares did you buy?
No timeshares. But yeah, and the fact that you had people lining up, they didn't have anything playable at 2K, but you can get a free prize, like a T-shirt, I think it was, if you lined up to throw a basketball into a hoop. And people were...
Why do people waste E3 space with this
People
crap?
were waiting 40 to 45 minutes in line just to have 2 hoop shots in hopes of getting a free T-shirt. And if they missed, they got nothing.
E3 is slowly becoming a video game
Which is kind
convention.
of crazy, because then they have video games live next door in front of the Staples Center at the Microsoft Auditorium, I think it's called, or whatever. And that was like an E3, but people wanted to pay to get into like an E3 area where they wanted to play Titanfall 2 and a bunch of other games. So they don't even need to try to sneak into E3 as it is.
So, Jason, Alex, are you guys telling me that somehow, against all odds, E3 is losing its cultural relevance?
I didn't know it had cultural relevance.
It was just really crowded this year.
Yeah, it was just real. The problem is also, I think, because Activision wasn't there and EA wasn't there, and a lot of big names decided to drop out, that they think they eased up on the admission of who could come in or not, because I've never seen it that crowded.
A lot of empty space.
Yeah, there wasn't too much empty space up until Thursday.
Like, our interview with Aaron this year is one of the easiest we've ever conducted, because we were able to do it at like this little connected E3 area.
Oh yeah, if you go into the back areas of the South Hall, all the indie stuff, nobody's there. In fact, the funniest thing was, me and Alex tried 2 different VR games. One we'll talk about later because it was freaking awesome, but the second one was one where we were just
the HTC vibe.
HTC vibe, and it was a game where you had to shoot a bow and arrow, and there was a wacky different kind of arrow you got. Could be a banana, could be a fish or whatever, and you had to shoot at these monkeys while protecting your horde, and you could go up to different
areas.
Yes,
murdered monkeys to protect our bananas.
And and nobody was playing that, and it was pretty fun. But right across from there, with this big crowd, was a VR porn section.
Oh,
and
man,
I couldn't believe the crowd.
The appeal of
now, why would you do that in public? I mean, it's not like you're going to be, jerking it or anything.
Well, to be fair, no one else can see it, and you're not supposed to be at that convention unless you're over 18.
I heard it on another podcast that described they put it on you, and you're like this naked guy there with you're looking down, you got an erection and everything, and some naked woman comes up and starts riding you, and I'm like, why are you going to allow yourself to have that scene in public? I mean,
why do that in a video?
Yeah, and what are the chances you're not going to have an erection while you're there and everybody's seeing your E3
Jason,
surprise
Alex,
pop out?
Are you guys telling me that E3's status as it currently is so
you're never going to get out of us?
The same. Is so of not the same caliber that they need to accept pornography VR dealers in order to justify the cost of running something like that?
It was in the ghetto area of E3 anyway.
Yeah, it was in a small press.
E3's always had a ghetto area.
Well, it used to be Kenshaw.
You guys are like the last holdouts on how on E3 actually mattering. Even the publishers don't think it, and yet you're still holding on.
I don't think E3 matters, but I don't really think it's mattered in a very, very long time. So I don't know. It's still a pretty
really.
Thing
If E3 didn't exist, there'd still be Comic-Con, and a lot of those booths just move over to there. But then again, it's partially also because they already have the booths set up from E3, so it's cheap enough to go over to Comic-Con and present their stuff there.
So we should probably talk about some of our actual experiences.
Oh yeah, well let's talk about.
So do you want to get started with Sonic Boom Fire and Ice?
Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. You might want to save for last. I will mention.
All right, we'll save that for last. Sorry, Sonic people.
The Oculus Rift. What was the game we played? Dead and Buried.
That was Dead and Buried. I believe.
That was so much fun.
If I remember correctly, you told me it was from Insomniac.
Yeah, it was from Insomniac Games. And it's a Western shootout.
Oh my God!
Me and Alex got into a private booth, and these other two guys got into another private booth, and they set us up with these move-like controllers, not quite like that, and basically we were able to grab items, and the first thing they showed us to
grab guns.
The first thing they did is they set us up with a table in front of us, a virtual reality table, and we were able to grab the cards in front of it, turn it over, and see the instructions, and then we were able to just flip the cards into the air. And it's so incredible because the table is just right in front of you, and you're looking over at the side. I could see Alex, and I was able to give him a little virtual high five and stuff on it, which is kind of neat. And then we were able to draw our guns. I kept screwing up with the reloads a bit. And practice there.
Well, yeah, it requires a certain shaking motion.
Yeah, and then after that, all of a sudden we're going into different parts of the bar and doing a shootout with the other guys on the other side.
Yeah, and the thing about this game is that the motion controls are remarkably accurate. These are the most technologically impressive motion controls I've ever seen. And because, you're inside this virtual world, and your hand movement is mapped exactly, and when you reach down to grab your guns out of your holsters, you're actually reaching down to the area on your waist where the holster would be, and then there's the display of the Oculus Rift itself, which has this 3D depth to it. And so it feels like you're in an actual physical world, albeit one made out of plastic, because that's what the graphics look like. And I kept trying to lean my gun
oh my god!
On I kept trying to interact with solid walls.
I almost fell over because I was trying to. I was on my knees, ducking to shoot, and then I tried to get up and I tried to lean on the table that was in front of me, and of course there's nothing there, and I fell forward a little bit, and I had to catch myself.
But
that's the one scary thing with VR. I think is people are going to be trying to grab the things that are in front of them that might not be there. But
I could duck, I could sit, I could get behind cover, I could actually sit down on the ground, and my character would basically be that low on the ground, and I could shoot through this hole in the crates that I had.
Yeah.
Now I never got the one thing about this game is that I could not really get a handle on the aiming. The aiming was difficult for me.
We got slaughtered.
Instead of a reticule, it's this laser. And I guess I couldn't line it up. But it was all just my own lack of any real skills when it comes
Our score
to
became 25 to 3.
Don't blame it on the game.
So it's pretty bad. But yeah, I was I accidentally aimed and shot at the barrel that was in front of me, and the water started leaking out of the barrel and onto the stairs when I looked over to my right.
And there are these dynamite.
Oh yeah, you can actually grab dynamite.
Spawn in front of you. You can actually grab them and throw them
just like you wouldn't as a physical object in real life. And I throw like a girl. I got those dynamite sticks about halfway through over towards them before they blow up.
We even threw accurately.
We sucked horribly at that game, but even
Jason,
as bad as
I
got 3 or 4 kills. But as bad as we were just had an absolute blast.
Now, I will say I have one problem, and that was the headset. The Oculus Rift headset kept shifting on my head.
I was surprised that I didn't have that problem because I have a really large screen.
It kept unfocusing the game. It kept unfocusing the game, so whenever I moved a little too much, I think it may have just been moving a lot. And that would shift it, and everything would just blur out. And it was like I had glasses and they fell off. And so I'd have to constantly readjust it, which that's not really a thing you want to be doing when you're getting shot at. But I'm hoping that just wasn't adjusted to my head right.
Yes.
because I have a big head. Excellent. So I think we played 2 games or 3 games.
The first day, yeah. So
it was Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice, and then it was Oculus Rift, and then I think we went over to the to the Sony booth eventually.
Well, I kind of want to know
played some Yakuza.
What else did they have good over at Sega? I mean, if they had as many games as they did.
Well, let's see.
Sega,
Sonic Boom,
they had Yakuza
0, Hatsune Miku for PS4,
Rock of
Ages, King of Fighters 13 or something like that, or 16. I'm not sure exactly.
Pretty sure it's 13.
I guess that is an Atlas game.
Well, technically it's Neo Geo, but Atlas is publishing it.
SNK,
pardon me. And what other game I can't remember. And of course they're promoting.
It's Seventh Dragon.
Seventh Dragon, and they're promoting.
I'm excited for
Persona 5, even though Persona 5 wasn't actually there.
Persona 5 wasn't there, but most of their stage events were devoted to that game, which I'm sure I will love. But my gosh, what it did to my E3 just frustrated me. But,
so Alex, give me some Seventh Dragon then.
I wasn't able to play Seventh Dragon. I was only able to play Yakuza and Sonic.
Okay, give me some Yakuza then.
Well, Yakuza, that is a goofy freaking game. Basically, what I picked at Kazuma Kiryu, and I somehow got roped into the side quest where I had to help a band that was that had accidentally appealed to the Yankee crowd. Now, I'm just going to assume
Christ.
that. Oh wait, you actually know what Yankee is?
I've been
Japanese.
watching a bit of Crunchyroll, and I guess you could call it like a type of street thug, perhaps.
Yes, where they have these ridiculous hairdos. I forget what I'm blanking on what they're called. And they wear all this American stuff. And apparently, in order to make their band popular, they had made themselves look really tough. But unfortunately, they were actually all very sensitive and well-spoken individuals. And so I had to coach them in what they needed to say to their people in order to continue looking like Yankees.
Did you have to teach them how to hit people with a bicycle?
No. I mean, I actually did hit someone with a bicycle.
Yeah!
But no.
That's what I want.
The thing I love about this game was that you could have completely screwed them over. You could have said, okay, what am I going to say when they ask me about how tough I am? And you can say, just be silent and stoic and say nothing, which is the right answer, or the wrong answer, which is talk about your favorite flowers. And unfortunately, I'm not an asshole, so I gave them the good advice.
Objection.
But there's some room in this game for some really goofy stuff that just has nothing to do with the main plot or with fighting.
So what you're saying is that it's a Yakuza game?
Yes, you want me to know how it was? That's my experience. Just goofy, hilarious game.
Yeah, I played.
Very steeped in Japanese culture.
What's his
by
name?
The way.
Did they kind of give you a sense of because that one actually takes place in? Is it the 80s?
Yeah, I believe it's the 80s.
I believe it's the 80s. Yeah.
So how did that kind of affect? Did you kind of get any sense of difference in place? Because I just started.
Well, for me,
4.
it was just the existence of the Yankees, which was a very big style at the time. But beyond that, there were lots of old Sega arcade games and kind of some older style logos and stuff. It kind of did like what Shenmue did, where it utilized certain old looking things to kind of give it that sense of this is what the era is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's the one with the eye patch? I always forget the names.
That's oh crap. I think it was Gojima.
Yeah, I played as him doing a disco rhythm kind of game area because he just had and that was actually pretty tough.
Oh, I actually did a thing with him too, where I had the opportunity to pretend to be this girl's boyfriend for her parents.
Yeah, except you were like...
Unfortunately, I didn't have time to see that one through, but just to give you an idea of the goofy
really
shit
old.
you can do.
It's such a shame this game doesn't really catch on in the West in the same way it does in Japan.
Yeah.
Like I am glad that we now have our Saints Row in the face of Grand Theft Auto, but we really need something on par with Yakuza.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what goofy kind of stuff do we have that's what the
ignore that. Just
okay.
Whenever we're talking, you could look at it. Okay.
All right. I thought that you were sending me something to do with your silence.
No.
So, Jason, something about that rhythm game.
No, I just that was it. I mean, it's a really awkward rhythm game where you have to make your cursor go up and down as these squares as much as possible, and then hit the note right before it hits the square. And
is that Hatsune Miku?
No, that was it was a disco.
No,
it was a disco game inside of
Yakuza 5.
Yakuza 0.
Oh, okay. I thought we moved on.
Yeah, that was kind of tough. Yeah. Well, I'll say a little bit about Hatsune Miku. I mean, it's basically the same kind of game as the other ones, except that it seemed like they had a little more improvement over the stuff you can do. It had a few songs, only one of which I recognized. Outside of that, it's just pretty much the same old, except with slightly nicer HD graphics. I kind of want to move on to, before we get Sonic Boom Fire and Ice.
One more thing. Regarding Seventh Dragon, the demo is currently on the eShop, so even though I haven't played, everyone can still experience it for themselves. So, yeah. I've heard it's pretty good.
Okay,
I shall keep that in mind.
Let's get rushing through this, because it's like a sauna in my room right now. I don't have air conditioning. I just have a fan and a really hot computer next to me.
So, are we jumping straight to Fire
Well,
and
I did
Ice,
want to talk a little bit about Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild.
We're not going to talk a little bit about Legend of Zelda. We're going to talk a lot about that. That's one of the longest and best demos we played at the show.
It's one of the longest demos I've ever played at E3.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so they said, okay, we're going to be opening lines at like 3 o'clock, and they cut them off before then, so we just kind of hung around the table until we started noticing them allowing people in, and then we jumped in as soon as we could. Only about a 45-minute wait, which is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was on Thursday, which was the least active day.
That's the best day to go if you want to play games.
But it was a pretty short wait given what we got to play. And my gosh, like you know how Nintendo has that theme park coming. If it's anything like the Zelda booth, that theme park's going to be pretty neat, because it was the booth was like a theme park.
Yeah, while we were waiting in line, they gave us a card to get stamped from the demo. You could see all the different.
The card was cut like an old piece of paper. Yeah. Had like all these chip pieces to it.
And then let me see. You got to see some of the amiibo as you were waiting in line, and then they took you into this booth and gave you like a 10-minute presentation about the game, which you could actually record. It was one of the only booths where they said, "Hey, if you want to record, that's fine," which was amazing.
I think they basically just showed the E3 trailer.
Yeah, but then.
But it was in this like big theater
I was in this room. I was like, "Well,
these...
where are we going to go from here?" Because everything's blocked off. And just then, the video showed like these doors creaking open, and the entire projector area lifted up to let you into the demo station.
And then everyone took off their shirt and their pants and just went in their underwear. Picked up a fiery rod. And...
Yeah, no, all the attendees led you over to a particular demo station to try it out, and they had one person for 2 people to instruct you on how to play the game and everything else. They had it on a gamepad. It is first
the freshest Zelda.
Yeah, it's very fresh as far as Zelda goes. It's a complete open world, almost Skyrim-ish like Zelda. The first thing they did is just let us play around the open world for a bit, run around, grab an object to use as a weapon. You can even use a stick as a weapon if you're out of...
That's actually your first weapon.
Yeah, if you're out of options. You can get rusty swords. You can get... if you kill an enemy, he'll drop loot and his weapon, and you can grab his weapon and use it on other enemies. You can go around topless as Link if you want. You have clothing options. You have one...
or just in your underwear.
Yeah, you have different clothing depending on different environments to help you out. A lot of options. If you want, you can get like just raw food if you wanted just a slight health boost. But if you want a big health boost, you can go over to where these pots and pans are, grab a stick. If there's a fire nearby, you can light the torch on fire, light it underneath the pot, and then like cook yourself a stew to make extra health potions that way. And it's got this almost Skyrim like Minecraft thing going to it, where you're making your own material and helping build up your own world, and it just has this freedom to explore. I haven't never seen in a Zelda game before that I really enjoyed.
I guess from the... Oh, go on.
Do you kind of get a sense of where things in the world could be? Because I everyone that I've listened to has said basically that they've taken out anything that involves story or enemies.
I wouldn't say that.
Than bokoblins, that kind of stuff.
No, they have not taken out anything that involves story. It has a linear path,
but it just gently guides you if you want. But
no,
you
I
can
mean,
go off
they
the
took out
trail.
anything story for the E3 trailer. Or for the E3 demo.
We talked to the old guy and everything.
Yeah, when you play after playing open world for more, then you play a story mode where you start up as Link, naked except for some shorts, in like this tub, like you're just came out of the Matrix or something, and the fairy's been telling you it's 100 years. You need to wake up, and the Ganon evil or whatever sorry, is spreading.
But what I'm saying is, like, do you get a sense of, hey, there probably is going to be a town here in this space, or there's going to be other characters here at this place? Because
the only other character we met was the old man, and there's also the voiceover.
I understand, but I mean, like, that there's supposed to be, because I know for sure they've actually described they have taken things out of that demo.
I haven't seen any towns or village. You see the castle.
I didn't see anything that looked like there'd be a town there.
You see a castle that's cursed in the distance that the old man wants you to go to. But it is still narrative, but it's narrative with an open world exploration to it. And
so are you saying that they've actually confirmed towns for it?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard like the stuff that they described on the treehouse or anything, but yes, they actually physically took things out. They took characters out for this demo. They took towns and other enemies out for that demo.
Yeah, we only had
like
one
I
kind
said
of
a couple
enemy.
Times.
Not one kind of enemy. We had
all I ever saw was the red goblin people and some boars you can hunt the boars with your bow and arrow and shoot them and then get meat from them. Not like Far Cry where you're stabbing them and
2 minutes into my demo, I ran into this giant rock monster that nearly killed me.
I didn't see the rock monster.
And I asked my guide if I can kill it, and he said, no, you could probably spend the whole demo shooting at it, but you'd probably just run out of arrows first. So I just ran the fuck away.
They actually did kill one of them in the treehouse.
Oh, cool.
But
That's
by that
neat.
point, they actually had bombs and other weaponry.
Yeah, but it's like you're kind of upgrading as you go. Like as soon as you get out of the dungeon, there was a tree, and I just grabbed a stick and smacked it against other trees to unleash apples, which I was able to collect. And then I found an axe, and I was able to actually use the axe and slowly chop down some trees to grab some apples there. And on the way, I noticed there was a sword in the middle of a tiny little island that I can just run and jump over to and jump into the into the little river bank near the island and grab the sword. And it was just a low-level sword, but still, pretty cool. The only problem I have with the game is it's what do they call that? Stamina meter. I really do not like that because.
Oh no! I love the stamina meter.
Well, no, you can't even swim very far with it on because you go.
Well, yeah, but that will improve. It gives your character certain limitations. It makes this more like an RPG where you have to build your character up.
Even a little lake around the island, I had to go make sure I went further in before I went in because you could swim for a little bit, but even if you rest when you're swimming, if you're just like bobbing with your head above water, your stamina meter does not raise back up. So if you don't get to an inland quick, you'll drown even though you could just rest. It's ridiculous.
Well, like... You can only rest so much in water anyway. There's a certain amount of movement required to keep yourself.
Like I said, it could be that's because you're a low level character. I think you're right though. It's probably because I'm a low level character, and my stamina will improve as my character levels up. I imagine.
But probably one of my favorite moments in the game was when I came across this goblin camp. From the trailer, there's a goblin camp inside of this big giant skull. Well, I found that, and I saw a goblin with a sword, and there was a goblin with an arrow. I thought, okay, I'm going to come here. I'm going to take all their stuff. And at first, it went well, because I managed to kill the goblin with the arrow, but only after he alerted his buddies. And then the guy with the sword just came out and destroyed me. And he did it again and again. But if I had the time... if I had the time, which I did in the demo, I could have used the bow and arrow to shoot this lantern at the top of the skull to explode them and kill them and significantly upgrade my armaments early in the game.
Yeah.
Without doing any of the things that I'm supposed to, because I assume there's a place where you're supposed to find weapons, but I just didn't find it in my demo.
And that's what's so amazing about this demo is I had a completely it was the same area and I had a completely different experience from what Alex did. That's what's so amazing about it. I think I've never been so excited for a Zelda game that I have for this game. This is going to be an incredible Legend of Zelda game.
I've never been this excited for an open world game because this has a lot more polish than you get from a game like Skyrim, or I'm trying to think of another game that isn't from Bethesda that's open world. But yes, it's really polished for an open world game, and you can climb on everything, and there's just. Did you ever
go into the underground shrine and play with the magnetic gloves that let you lift those giant tablets?
I tried to. The demo ended before I could get to it both times.
I got to that, so I got to mess around with that. So there's shrines also around the area you're in, where they're kind of like mini dungeons, which have little puzzles to solve, and then you can get a certain item and climb out that you can use above ground in your normal world. And
but this
overall is just absolutely fantastic. The area around that too, at E3 was pretty funny. It had statuettes all over the place, statues all over the place. You could take pictures with. For playing, you got a freebie of a blue T-shirt, which sadly is only an XL, which doesn't fit me, and a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coin, which I'm holding right now, which is freaking awesome.
I still need to get that out of my wallet. I've been walking around with basically $100 collector's coin in my wallet.
You have it outside of the plastic and everything?
No, it's still inside the plastic, but I mean...
No, I have mine out of the plastic wrap, but not out of the plastic case.
But
I'm not selling it.
I will say I have... This should be the first Zelda game since Ocarina of Time that nobody complains about. Because it seems to hit all the right notes, and I don't really see how any traditional Zelda people or people who think Zelda need to change drastically could hate this game. But I will say I do have some complaints, and for me, I really hate the fact that the Wii gamepad. Okay, don't hate it, But I'm disappointed that the Wii U gamepad is not used for inventory management.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Or for the map or anything else, which that just seems ridiculous, especially when the map that the game constantly refers to that you need to look at looks like a Wii U gamepad.
Well, I think that's just for the demo purposes, and I think once the full game comes out, it's going to have the map on the gamepad itself.
GX didn't they say that they weren't using the gamepad for anything? I know I read that they're only using it for off-screen play.
I don't recall 100%. I did hear that a lot of other people kind of mirroring what you said. I do know that you can actually play the whole game with a Pro Controller if you wanted to.
Like, I'm okay with that being an option, but I think if you have a gamepad and you want to use the gamepad, then there should be some benefit to that beyond off-TV gameplay. So,
well, they've also
really
kind
hope
of
they
taught
change
us. They've also kind of taught us that, hey, between all of the 3DS remakes and the Wii U remakes, that actually works really good for inventory management.
Yeah, and this game actually has a much deeper inventory than any other Zelda game. There's a lot more to it now.
Oh, yeah.
So a second screen would be really helpful. But beyond that, I am so excited for this, and I'm so annoyed to have to wait until next year.
Yeah, they want a simultaneous launch with the NX, which we still haven't seen anything about. I mean, it's obvious this was a Wii U game. It's cell shaded, and
it's gorgeous.
It is pretty gorgeous. I do have a problem with the cell shading with the grass kind of blending into itself because it's all one color. Other than that, I think it looks fantastic.
So we should talk about the booth a little bit. We really should. The booth had all these larger than life-size statues of the goblins, of some of the objects from the game, and of course Link himself. And they create this neat little, as I said before, theme park. This neat little theme park within E3. And there were these things like there's a push switch on the floor, which if you stepped on it, you know that food.
That you cook
food
in the game. Yeah, the food starts bobbling up and down.
And starts moving. It's this really cool piece of technology. It's easily the most impressive E3 booth I have ever seen.
Well, it should be, considering it's promoting just one game and one game only.
Well, I mean, they didn't have to go as far as they did with all these life-sized character statues and like walls and the Goblin Tower. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was a highlight of the E3 for me. Now let's you know what, I really want to wrap this up because I'm sweating to death. It's near 6. Let's go ahead and start
we could
talking.
just end this now. No one cares about.
We have to talk about Sonic Boom Fire and Ice because we both played it.
No, we don't.
You could also you could always read our opinions on Sonic Stadium. We both played the game.
Yeah. In fact, just go there.
You actually both wrote something.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
9 different areas to check out. There's 4 2D style levels in the demo and like 5 other mini games, and that's just in the first world. So I mean, we're obviously going to be comparing this to Shattered Crystal and all the problems Shattered Crystal has. Like,
compared to Shattered Crystal, I actually had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is a huge improvement over Shattered Crystal, I believe.
This will definitely be the best Sonic Boom game ever made. I think just almost by default, because from what I can tell, the levels seem fairly well designed. All the technology seems fairly well implemented. I guess there's always the possibility that they could really shit the bed with the other worlds, but from the first world we played, I'm actually looking forward to this now.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you look at Shattered Crystal, you had one major level per island you went to per world, and that was like a 20 to 30 minute level on its own because you kept having to backtrack, stop, look at your map to see where all the little items are. And it was forced exploration, which really killed it.
I tried playing that when I got back
because
I bought the game on a physical cart and I accidentally left it at home. And oh my gosh, I still can't advance because I need to collect these emblems and I don't want to.
I know. Where here you can.
The game's not that fun to replay.
There's 4 different levels. You could play it as Sonic, Amy, or Tails, and you mainly just had to be able to play as the one character to get through the stage, and they're shorter, but it was much easier. It was about as long as a normal Sonic 2D level would be, and that was great. And plus, there was areas you could explore. Like I was playing with Sonic at once, and then you saw this little column with a pillar with a Pico hammer on it, so you could turn to Amy, smash that, go into this area and find the secret room where there's an extra little level to play as. But you don't have to. You could keep going through and ending your level and continue on. Now, I love to explore, but I don't like to be forced to explore and not be able to go on to try something else. And this did a much better job of that. Plus, it had much better flow to it. I thought it seems like it's going to be a great one for speedruns. And the fire and ice implementation, where you have to, if you hurry up and switch to ice, where there's these water platforms, it'll freeze the platform so you can jump on them, or there's areas where there's ice blocking your way and you have to quickly change the fire to melt the ice and keep going. That added a little extra level of challenge that was fun without being distracting or stopping the game for you.
Yeah, the fire and ice actually complements the traversal quite nicely, because it's really simple to implement. You press one button to switch between the two, and so you can do it really quickly as you move from one area to the other, and never at least now this will probably change as the areas get more difficult. But basically, one area is devoted to one element, and then one area is devoted to the other, and just like one. Each stage is primarily devoted to one character. And there's never a moment where I felt like I had to stop and switch between anything. That's one of the major issues I had with Shattered Crystal.
Right.
Was that I felt like the character implementation just shattered the flow of the game. But this game doesn't seem to have this problem. Like the area where you said I had to change to Pico Hammer. That was in a place where it felt natural to stop, hit the pillar, and continue on as a different character. And so
because you're mostly going right, and this thing was up level. And to the left, and you could have completely ignored it if you wanted to.
Now, there are a couple of awkward design decisions in this game. Like, whenever you hit something, even when you don't die, when you hit an enemy or a spike, it immediately brings you back to a preset part of the level. Usually only 10 seconds back, or sometimes
usually a few feet back.
And it's just really awkward that. When I'm so used to just getting hit, collecting some of my rings, then moving on, now it looks like it kind of just stops you and forces you back, and then you have to go through like a little 10-second area over again.
Yeah, that felt a little weird.
And on top of that, the character switch between characters is no longer done on the directional pad in the same way, where each direction had.
Well, that's because you have five characters now instead of 4, so they had to do it that
basically, if you don't want to use the touchscreen, if you want to use the D-pad, you have to use the D-pad you have to hit the D-pad once to bring up a character menu, and then use the D-pad to scroll through the character menu. Now, again, the game's design makes that something that doesn't.
The good news is with this one. In Shattered Crystal, you had 3 menus at the bottom of screen, and so you'd have to hit the LR buttons to go over to character switch to then touch the character if you wanted to do it that way. Where in this one, there's no map at the bottom. There's just the 5 characters, so
you don't need a map.
I didn't see a map. There was a map.
Yeah, you don't need you don't need a
map this time. So you just had the 5 characters on the bottom, and all you had to do was look down real quick and touch that character to switch over real fast.
And finally, the final design is the weird design choice, which I don't know if I don't like it. I think I didn't really have an issue with it after I got used to it. But at first, it was a little weird. They had to hold a button to run in a 2D Sonic game. Like,
what do you mean a boost?
Have
you played Sonic Rush?
Boost. Without the boost, you move pretty slowly, I think.
I was gonna say, have you played Sonic Rush?
Oh, you know what? Like, okay, the boost is way faster in Sonic Rush, but you actually have a pretty good point. Maybe that's why it only felt awkward at first. Because, like, but yeah, like, it's looking to be a pretty fun game, I think.
Yeah, so do I.
So it doesn't feel like Sonic's other 2D adventures. You know, it doesn't have the physics of Rush or the old games. But it's still a very kind of platformer focused game.
Yeah.
With just some quick auto run sections in between areas. It feels different. It feels like this weird medium between 3D games, the classic 2D games, and Shattered Crystal.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am much more excited about it now that I've had a chance to get my hands on it than I did before, where I thought we were going to get
actually excited about
another Shattered Crystals. And, of course, coming July 22nd, if you're going to the Sonic Boom 25th anniversary party, you'll be able to play it there. Speaking of, I'm going to talk about one last thing. Takashi Iizuka did confirm that there's going to be a new Sonic game in 2017. And most likely, like I've been saying for a long time, it's the game that's going to be announced at the 25th anniversary party. It's basically Sonic Boom Fire and Ice is the Sonic game. Sadly, we're getting for 2016. Not that it's a bad game.
Actually, I think
that's going to be it.
We really should talk about the party a bit, the upcoming party. But first, I wanted to know if GX had anything to ask regarding Fire and Ice.
Not at the moment. I mean, it sounds like it's just an all-around improvement of what we got last time.
Yeah, a major improvement, I'll say.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to the party. Now, Aaron Weber is really hyping this thing up. Like, he kept telling us, you're going to the party, right? You better be going to the party. This is going to be a really good party. And I don't really think I've ever really seen him this excited for anything before.
So you're going to get to the party and it's just going to be him sitting all alone with the birthday cake looking really sad?
Well, no. I hear Barry from Segabix is going to be there. So, we'll be that. And also, maybe I bet there'll be a guy in a Sonic costume. But yeah, like just going by how he's been talking about. Look, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty big party with some big announcements. Because he was really hyping it up to us both before, during, and after our interview with him. So crossing, I almost skipped out on this party because I thought it was just going to be meh, but.
Well, remember,
I did. Crossing my fingers.
Their whole social staff created a specialty ARG game, AR game with numbers hidden in pictures over the series of months just to hype up. Well, this is the date of the party.
Oh,
and there might be something there at the party. I'm not allowed to say if there is, but there might be.
There's going to be something at the party. There is going to be something there.
There better be something at the party because his indications at that whole convention event thing were not subtle in the least.
Now, one last thing, and Jason, you might have to edit this out if it turns out we can't do it. But I did record an interview with Chibi
Lola,
Sega Rex.
Yeah, she's the producer on Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, and she's very silly and she seemed like a lot of fun.
Unfortunately, I don't know her last name, so yes, we will continue to call her Chibi Lola. She wasn't even wearing a name tag, unfortunately. Yeah, so we have that interview. I guess we can put that at the end of our little show, and hopefully the noise works out. If not, I guess then nothing I say here will matter. Jason, how do you want to introduce this interview, or you just want to stick it here?
Okay, well, just here we are with Chibi Lola answering your Sonic Boom Fire and Ice Twitter questions. And here we go.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. This is Jason from Sonic Talk. I'm here with...
And Alex Peel, Knuckles87.
Hey, Alex Peel. I'm here with Chibi Lola. She's a producer on the Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, and she's going to answer some of your... Are you a producer?
I am a producer for Sonic.
Okay. And we'll be answering some of your Twitter questions right now, and she's going to be reading them off for you. Thank you very much.
Hi, guys. At Blue...
You might need to speak up a little because of all the noise.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You need to hold the record button down, right?
No. It's recording on its own.
Okay, great. Let's do this. At Blue Parex is asking, will the special stages in the game give you a Chaos Emerald if the player gets enough rings? You're definitely going to get a lot of rings in this game, but there's no Chaos Emerald since this is a Sonic Boom title. At Sonic Waffles ask, how exactly the multiplayer going to work out? Well, the game has local co-op or local multiplayer, so that there's a mini game where you can race each other. So it's not really online multiplayer. Like at Air Pirate Vice is asking, will the game have online multiplayer? It doesn't. It has local multiplayer. Let's see. What is it? At Win728 is asking, will we see some character from the show in Fire and Ice? Well, this is a Sonic Boom title, so you'll see all the character, mainly the Sonic team, which is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Styx.
I can confirm I played as Burnbot, who is one of Eggman's robots exclusively from the show.
Awesome, yeah. Let's see, what else? Let's see. Are there any more playable characters? Cool. This one.
Talk about speed,
Yeah, wait, this one?
Right now they're going down the list and like, nope, 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 can't do.
Yeah.
There's a picture of an Amazon box and a cat.
That's an adorable cat. Good job,
How about this one? Oh wait, hold on. How do you say this? At Guac Trops is asking typical level length. Will levels be more numerous given that it was said that it will be shorter than in Shattered? I don't know if this is actually worded correctly. I mean, if you're asking for speed-wise, you can clear some of the levels within a minute or two. Some of the challenges is that if you clear it under a certain time, then you'll get that indicator. But some of the levels are you could clear it within the minute. But if you want to explore some of the levels and catch all the collectibles, it can take like 4 minutes if you have to go through all the levels and such.
Yeah, it's not that the levels are shorter; it's that you're so much faster.
That's my boss, by the way. This is Director Austin Keys. Let's see. Is there going to be any sort of at Zero J Designs is asking, is there going to be any sort of co-op capability? Like I said, there is local multiplayer, but not quite co-op. I think this is pretty much it.
That's everything.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking me all these questions.
Well, actually, thanks for asking.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for asking them to yourself. It's really helpful. Okay, guys, this is Alex Peel and Jason Berry from E3 with Chibi Lola.
At Chibi Lola.
At Chibi Lola on Twitter. And
Austin Keys.
Austin Geese. And
He is not in the Twitter world.
he's not in the Twitter world, but Mr. Geese, what do you do on the game?
I'm the director of product development at Sega under the Sonic pillar.
All right, and we at Sonic Talk are happy to bring you a quick and dirty interview from E3. See ya.
And that's
Hi,
it.
I'm that person.
Man,
that
we need to work on our showmanship big
Yeah,
time.
I'm looking.
Of
I've
course,
got her.
I'm
I've got
pretty
Chibi
tired
Lola
now.
on Twitter, and she still doesn't have her last name, so I have no idea what her last name is.
Yeah. But at this point, when I'm this tired, I guess I can't do can't do showmanship stuff. Like what little showmanship stuff I can do. So we probably should have some final thoughts. Yeah.
I think that's going to be a wrap for me. I don't have Sonic Revolution to report on this year, so nothing to advertise really, except follow us on the Sonic Stadium and check out the Sonic Talk, of course, on YouTube, and check out GX Echidna's website at nevershutup.com.
I would encourage you to read our E3 coverage, please. We got like three articles and an interview. So again, just check that shit out, man.
Okay, and that's going to be a wrap because I'm sweating to death in my room. It's just turning into a sauna in here. So,
yes.
We'll see you.
I mean, look at it this way. You're probably going to lose a few pounds now.
We'll see you next month when we'll talk about our experiences at Comic-Con that's coming up.
Wait, we were still recording?
Yes.
Crap. Yeah, we'll talk about our well, in my case, not Comic-Con experiences because I made the conscious decision not to go. And then of course Sega has to have a party there, but there's plenty of stuff to do around the convention. So I'm still.
I already got my press badge. They actually mailed it this year, which is weird, but super convenient for me because no registration. Just grab the badge, put on a lanyard, and walk in the door.
Yay! And maybe I will borrow it for an hour.
No, you will not.
Or so. Aw, okay.
Because that is illegal.
And oh, they don't have to know.
There's audio evidence now.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, well, Jason's already said no, so as far as they know, we're not going to do it. But of course, we'll also be reporting on the party, naturally.
All right, and until next time, we'll see you next month, and goodbye.
Peace out, y'all.
Okay, we're done.